So today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Anaheim. It's a city that's near and dear to my heart because I actually grew up here, spent the first 20 years of my life here. So I'm Alex, I'm the host of Living in Orange County, and let's get to it. It's Alex here. So Anaheim is a city in Orange County, California, with an estimated population of 350,000 people, which makes it the most populated city in all of Orange County. And it's also home to the Disneyland Resort, the Anaheim Convention Center, and two sports teams, the Anaheim Ducks and also the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I know the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, it sounds a little bit weird, but they did it for marketing purposes. So Anaheim also has 4 different zip codes, 92804, 92805, 92806, and 92807. Let me give you a little geography lesson. So Anaheim is located about 25 miles southeast of Los Angeles. And we're talking about downtown Los Angeles. And it follows the 91 freeway to the east. And what you're gonna see is also the Riverside Orange County border. That's where the actual location is. It's also about 2 hours away from San Diego as well when you're looking at a map. So now a little bit about the history. So in 1857, Anaheim, which is a German word, was founded by about 50 German families. And it's remained actually largely agricultural, where they were basically doing farmland and meeting the needs of the actual local community until Disneyland was opened in 1955. And from that moment, hotels, motels, and actual retail started opening up. That really set the foundation for what Anaheim is today. One of the pros for Anaheim is that the educational system is actually really good. Now, there are other areas in other cities that actually have much better educational systems, but I actually went to Claire Barton Elementary School, and remembering what it was like there, it was a time when we had these rusty old jungle gyms with lead-based paint. And honestly, it wasn't super safe. The jungle gyms, that is. Beyond that, I remember jumping off of the swing set into the wood chips and then ending up with a bunch of splinters. Today, it's completely different. They have very nice equipment on the playgrounds. And they've rubberized the entire area, so you're not gonna get any splinters anymore. I went to Ball Junior High, which strangely enough, is rated a 1 out of 10 with great schools. So that kind of surprised me. And then I went to Loera High School, go Saxons, and Loera High School was actually a really great school for me to go to. It was one of the better schools in the area. My parents actually were able to get me into there. So I really enjoyed, high school as well. Now, overall, the school system's pretty good. My Claire Barton School was actually a California Distinguished School, which is something that not all the schools have. But the educational system is something that people think is a pro. So let me give you another pro. When it comes to shopping and retail and dining, Anaheim really has it. They have it nailed down. Obviously, with downtown Disney, right outside the park area, you're gonna have plenty of restaurants to choose from. And because of that, they actually expanded, and there's an area called the Garden Walk. They have major chain restaurants like P.F. Chang's, Cheesecake Factory. So even if you're out of town and not familiar with the area, if there's a restaurant that you're used to and it's a big chain, you're probably gonna get access to it at the Garden Walk. In addition, there's tons of restaurants. Maybe not tons, but definitely a lot at the Anaheim Packing District. So that's actually the original Sunkist packing house when it came to oranges. And so they've reimagined how it is, and there's 2 levels of restaurants, outdoor dining, retail, indoor dining. There's a lot of options to eat at there. But right outside of the City Hall, you also have a redeveloped downtown. There's amazing restaurants to eat at, there's bars, there's places to go, and even a nice little friendship garden right outside of the city hall, because Anaheim is very multicultural as an area. Another pro is family activities. Now, when I tell people that I live in Anaheim, if they're from another state or outside of California, they have no idea where Anaheim is. But once you tell them that Anaheim is where Disneyland is located, they absolutely know exactly where we're at. So the Disneyland Resort, which is the first park that Walt Disney ever imagined, is such a great place to spend a day. In addition, you have the Disney California Adventure, which is an homage to basically what's going on across California. They try to create an environment for you to relax in and experience all that California has to offer. And it's a great place to grab a bite, get a drink, hang out at what's called the Paradise Pier, and also watch the fireworks in the summertime. And beyond that, what you also have is you have the Anaheim Convention Center. They're one of the biggest convention centers and a great destination. So what we find is a lot of people that are business travelers, they bring their family when they have a convention over at the Anaheim Convention Center, and then they spend the day and extend their vacations to go ahead and go to Disneyland. Outside of that, you have Anaheim Stadium, where the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim play. Let me give you a little feedback on that. So it was the Anaheim Angels, but since a lot of people didn't know where Anaheim was, they actually changed the name to Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be honest, and people are really confused. But nonetheless, watching a ball game, enjoying a hot dog, that's something that you can definitely spend time doing. Now, outside of Angel Stadium, you also have the Anaheim Pond. This is where Anaheim's hockey team, the Anaheim Ducks, play. And in addition to just having the hockey games there, sometimes there's basketball, and then there's concerts at the Anaheim Pond as well. There's plenty of things to do in Anaheim if you haven't noticed. So another pro is Anaheim is a great place. And if you have kids and education's super important to you, where you're actually going to get the best schools is actually in Anaheim Hills. Between Anaheim and Anaheim Hills, it's quite a few cities that you drive through, but Anaheim Hills has the best schools. Now, if you have pets, like dogs, one of the things that you can do is there's plenty of parks that are pet friendly. But beyond that, Anaheim is a place where there's multiple breweries. And these breweries are always dog friendly. And there's also a number of hotels and other locations and restaurants that are also dog friendly as well. So that's pro number 4. So pro number 5 is safety. Anaheim has a crime statistic that is lower than the rest of the national average. And Anaheim as a city has a larger police force than any of the other cities, not only because it's a large and the most populated city, but they want to keep it very safe for people that are out of town or even out of country. So they have a very big police presence. We always felt extremely safe walking home from elementary school, middle school, and also high school. So if safety is your thing, Anaheim is something to consider. So pro number 6 is actually going to be the weather. So my parents, when they came here originally, they lived in Mississippi. It was extremely hot, extremely humid, but the temperature in Anaheim is going to be 70 to 86 on average during the day. And when it's cooler, it's usually between 48 and 65. So it stays pretty mellow year round. One of our jokes is this: if it's over 70, it's way too hot. And if it's under 70, it's probably way too cold. So Anaheim's weather, it's nice. So another pro is diversity. So Anaheim is a big melting pot with people from all over the country. So one thing that I'll know is that 96 out of 100 is the diversity score for Anaheim. So take a look at this graph, and I'll kind of break it down for the ethnicities just to give you a little bit of feedback. So when it comes to the setup, what you're looking at with the zip code of 92804 is it's 24.96 white, and then 2.36 black or African American. It is 47.15% Hispanic, and then 0.2% American Indian or Alaskan Native, and then Asian is 22.21. So the biggest majority is going to be Hispanic, white, Asian. So that's what you're going to see as the vast majority. But we've always felt safe and we respect a lot of different cultures. And the best part about having a lot of diversity is that no matter what you're trying to find to eat, you're going to find somewhere with it because of this diversity. So there are a few cons that I want to make sure that are very known. And these are things that we know. So number one, it's going to be traffic. Traffic can be absolutely brutal depending on the time of day. So through Anaheim, you have the 5 and the 91 freeway. The 5 freeway going to LA is pretty tough, especially around the Anaheim area. And what makes it even worse is going to be around Disneyland. So in the early morning rush hour time, if you're trying to get to work and going to be taking the 5 freeway, or you need to take the local surface streets right around Disneyland, you're going to encounter a lot of traffic. So that's one of the things that you need to be fully aware of. There's definitely going to be a lot of traffic. And if people are not familiar with the area, they tend to drive a little bit more carelessly. So if there's tourists from out of state or out of country, just drive defensively because they are not familiar with the area, and realistically, they may not be in tune or even understand the signs. So be very safe when it comes to that, but traffic and having tourists, which actually drives the economy, is something to be aware of. So one of the other cons is the cost of living is very high. And it's exacerbated or made worse by everything that is around Disneyland. Gasoline's going to cost more. Food's going to cost more. And the reason is that a lot of these are going to be tourist traps. So you want to make your way at least a mile outside of there if you want to go ahead and get normal prices for things. Because obviously the tourists are going to be having to pay whatever they want to pay. When you're inside Disneyland Park, I understand if I need to pay $8 to get a pretzel that's shaped like Mickey Mouse. But outside, you would hope that that wouldn't be the case. But the cost of living is definitely higher, especially when it comes to the items and areas that are directly around Disneyland. So one of the other cons I want to mention, and this has been brought up before, is that there is a huge police force. So some people feel like since there's so many police that it may be unsafe, but it's actually quite the contrary. It's because Anaheim is the most populated city in all of Orange County that we need to make sure that it remains safe. And I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, it was Halloween. My friend was dressed as a baseball player. I was actually dressed as a clown, and I was carrying this baseball bat. Well, that night, a police officer from the Anaheim PD stopped me and said, "Hey, what's going on with the bat? You're not a baseball player, what's happening?" And the reason is they wanted to make sure that I wasn't running around and smashing a bunch of pumpkins on the neighbors' doorsteps. So they like to make sure that everything is on the up and up, and having a good, strong police force is super important to me. And I think it's important to maintain the safety and the experience for all the people that come from out of state. So that's another con that actually I believe is a pro. So if you enjoyed my video that went over the pros and cons of living in Anaheim, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're updated anytime we do a new video. And if there's certain things that you have questions on, please post a comment below. I'm gonna put all the resources in the notes under the video. But if you're considering making a move in Anaheim or even across Orange County, feel free to call, text, or email. We love helping families find the right place in Orange County, and especially Anaheim, since I know it so well. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, and feel free to check out my other videos.